Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. Another great week that has come to an end, and to top it all off, another episode of The Mistake Zone. Just, us two pals hanging out. And Matt,
hmm
gotta ask,
hmm
how was your week this week?
Jared, the YouTube algorithm is getting to me again,
Okay.
and it's bombarding
As it
me.
gets us all. As it gets
Mhm.
us all.
It's bombarding me with Lego. I don't know if you've fallen into this particular algo loop.
Matt, I subscribe to, or yeah, I guess subscribe is the proper term. I am subscribed or I follow the Lego subreddit, and I feel like every time I log into the homepage of Reddit, I just see some pretty cool sets, some pretty cool mock ups. One of my favorites is it gets posted every now and then of someone making their own version of the Star Wars Millennium Falcon with their
hmm
own, custom, right, rando pieces. And honestly, that looks super cool. But I I'm familiar with the Lego algo, Matt, but
hmm
Matt, you don't bring up algo and Lego in the mistake zone without making a mistake by any chance?
Jaren, I am very, very close to a mistake. I've been getting a bunch of like these Lego, I guess just Lego videos pushed to me, particularly the Genius Creation or the Lego like Genius Creator. I don't know what their actual like term is, but man, they're just
Hmm.
like building a bunch of like cool stuff. And from there, I fell further into the loop of just like watched or looking at like Lego sets. And Jaren, I did not know that there was so many Lego and Nintendo like created like sets. And
Yeah.
I'm really, really tempted to like go in on some of these. But Jaren, they're all in like the two to like $300 price point. And I think if honestly, Jaren, I think if they were like in the $100 price point, I would have definitely already made that financial mistake. But the two $300 price point is a bit more iffy for me.
I think that was one of the more harder pills for me to swallow, like coming of age pills to swallow, in that I know when we grew up, Matt, a typical Lego set would hover anywhere between, let's say, 29 to 49 to even 69.99.
hmm
And those were the sets that we were accustomed to. Here's a something in space, here's something from Mars, here's a ninja based thing, and that's all cool. Those were the sets that we really grew up on. And I think as I got older, and then for lack of a better term, graduated from, those quote unquote kid sets of Lego to more
hmm
Lego enthusiast prices, and seeing how those skyrocketed from, low 40s or high or low 50s and whatnot to 150, 200, 300. I think
hmm
the first time it really hit me was the first time I saw the Lego Simpsons house set, and that was a beefy price tag attached. And I thought, oh, this is what it means to continue having Lego as a hobby when you are older.
hmm
And I don't know about you, Matt, but the only time I purchase Lego in general is when I find a at least decent price tag or sale,
hmm
where Lego's involved. I know right behind me right now is the Dominic Toretto Dodge Charger Lego
Nice,
set that
nice,
I
nice, nice,
still
nice.
need to build, and I'm currently waiting for the or Brian's Nissan Skyline set to come. But Matt, the
hmm
only worry I have with that set is you have to apply the stickers yourselves, and I'm really bad at Lego stickers. So that was a long-winded way of me saying, Matt,
hmm
you gonna bite the bullet? Are you gonna bite the brick?
I don't know, man. Jaren, like speaking of like you still having those things to build, Jaren, I think about $300 worth of Gundams in my closet that I still need to build that I'm just like sitting on. And I don't know, adding another $300 Lego set to that is probably not a smart idea. Also, Jared, I'm running out of like display room space. So that's actually becoming a real issue for me.
I know where you record the Mistake Zone, and I remember last time I was there physically, I always admire your collections, Matt, but as someone who is also a collecting enthusiast, I also worry about you, Matt, about your space and what you choose to display. Matt,
Oh, mm,
this is a long-winded way of me saying you need to convert one of those other rooms into a display, collection area for everyone to appreciate your collection, Matt.
yo, you know what? Actually, while we're on this display topic, real quick, Jared, did you hear that the glass display case at IKEA that
Oh,
like you
the
have?
the detox?
Yeah, they're discontinuing them.
No. Hey, Matt, stop joking. Stop
No,
joking. You
yeah,
you
apparently they're discontinuing that
you
model.
can't discontinue the staple in hobby collecting. Matt, are they replacing it? Because I still need quite. Oh man, I need a few more of those detox for my office right now.
Yeah, apparently, like I don't know what they're replacing them, if they're replacing them or what they're replacing them with. But like all I know is that like I was reading online on just like the Gundam subreddit about how they're getting rid of that model of shelf. Like I'm assuming they have to be replacing it with something better, but I'm also worried that they're gonna replace it with something worse.
Matt, that's the de facto collecting display case, and if that were to be replaced, I don't know what I'd do, Matt. I have no lie, a dozen Nendos that still need to be displayed because
Oh man.
I think part of my, you know, coming into this anime degeneracy is having to step back and thinking, oh, I need to retire and box up a lot of my vinyl toy figures from that I grew up with, Matt, and replace them with my Nendos. And this is starting to sound like an intervention, Matt. And
Oh man.
this is, again, the worst place to see if you should consider to buy something because I'm an enabler and I would like to enable you to purchase more so I feel less bad about doing my own purchases for the week. So take that for what you will, Matt.
Yeah, no, I think it's just crazy that IKEA is getting rid of that thing.
We can't. That's a classic. That's a staple.
Hmm.
And now I have the itch, Matt. I need to go to IKEA and pick up
Yeah, yeah,
two additional detox and hope for the best.
yeah. You need to go in before it disappears forever.
That's insane, Matt. That is insane.
So before we get too far away from Nintendo stuff, Jaren, are you on Julian's Nintendo Online family account by any chance?
I am not
Ah, okay.
anymore. I used
Oh,
to, but not anymore.
oh, okay. Because me and Rakush were talking the other day, and we really, really wanted to just play some random stuff on the Nintendo Online N64. What would that be called? I guess service. I'm not sure what word to use
The
here.
expansion pass
Yes,
for the
yes,
Nintendo
yes.
Online, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
So me and Rakush ended up just like telling Julian that hey, we're gonna pay for the expansion pass. Could you like set it up for us?
Right.
So we just jumped on gave Julian some money, and now everybody in Julian's family, quote unquote, has the N64 stuff, has the Game Boy Advance stuff, and Jaren.
Matt,
Mhm.
I hate to cut in, but are we the reason Netflix put on the password restrictions?
I mean, look, Jaren, we're paying customers. This is a perfectly valid way to use the service. I don't know if you know this. Julian is my dad, and this is allowed.
Matt, we need to preface this, right? Because for the record,
Mhm.
allegedly for the record, you, Rakush, and Julian are all roommates within the same
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
household, and you guys are a big family. And I unfortunately had to move out from the
Uh-huh.
Saturday morning arcade clubhouse, and that's why I'm no longer on Julian's family plan.
Mhm.
For the
Mhm.
record, allegedly,
Uh-huh.
I think that covers all our bases right now.
Jaren, we have to look back, look deep into our Bible of Fast and the Furious, and realize that friends can be family too, Jaren.
Friends can be family all
Yeah.
as long as we're all under the same household, which you guys
Uh-huh.
are,
Uh-huh.
for the
Uh-huh.
record,
Uh-huh.
allegedly.
Uh-huh. But Jaren, that thing is weird.
Okay.
The way that the because I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was really just going to be basically an N64 emulator, and I just wasn't expecting Nintendo to really put any, to be honest, like any real like work into modernizing any of the games that are on there.
Right. You weren't really expecting any quality of life changes, even at the bare minimum, just straight
Hmm.
emulation.
Yeah, I thought it was just gonna be straight emulation, and I was surprised to see that the N64 stuff is sort of upresed.
Really?
Yeah, but it's not all upresed, which is the weird
Okay.
thing. Because Jaren, we were playing Mario Party 1 and 2. Just like running some games just to like, test out the service. And the weird thing about how the Nintendo 64 stuff works on the Switch is that anything that is like 3D rendered is upresed so that it looks like pretty good. It looks like clean, it looks pretty crisp. But anything that is not that still looks 480p. So, in particular for Mario Party, all the character models would be like very nice looking. They'd be very clean. They'd be very, like just like I'm not gonna say high res, but they're still like because they're just like a bunch of small. They still have like the same poly count as before. It's just very clean looking.
Right.
But the boards and the backgrounds and stuff were all hand drawn art that was kind of just like used as I guess like a billboard or like a plane inside of the game, and that doesn't get upresed. So you just have these very clean looking characters walking around like a 480p board, and it looks really, really jarring.
Matt,
Hmm.
this is reminding me of what was that Steam game you were telling me about a few weeks ago, Superflight or something like the
Oh yeah,
wingsuit
it's
game.
yeah, Superflight. Yeah.
Yeah, and how you were talking about, oh, what did you think? What do you think of this resurgence, or the indie game art style of, hey, let's try to have this PS1 aesthetic to all our games.
Hmm.
And the way you're describing Mario Party on the Nintendo Online expansion pass service is making me think of an aesthetic that I'm curious if it's already being explored or will be explored in a couple of years, where you do have that low res textures as a background, but these sort of detailed but still PS1 and 64 era main character models. And I think, just not that I've seen it in person, but the thought of that seems really jarring to me, where I wonder if that could be an aesthetic that could, carry a gameplay experience in, I guess, in modern times.
I think it could. It's just for the Nintendo thing. Like I said, like the issue is more that you have a very clean looking character model and then a
Yeah.
very gritty pixelated background, and it kind of throws me off.
I'm actually curious. Do you think it throws you off just because because we all played the N64 growing up,
Hmm.
and I was wondering if maybe since you have that frame of reference in your head, does that make it even more jarring for you, or is it kind of your modern sensibilities going, this doesn't look that great?
I think it's a combination of maybe some rose tinted glasses looking back, but I'm sure you've seen those posts online, Jaron, that show how back then everybody was using CRT TVs
Yeah.
and how the art that you saw back then was designed to be shown on CRT TVs, so it looks worse
Yep.
now on LCDs. And I think it's a combination of like that combined with I guess knowing how like bad pixelation looks on old games. Like I think all of that coming together makes it just look a little weird to me. I think that's what's really throwing me off.
All right. Well, graphics aside, Matt, you said you were playing Mario Party 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
how's that emulation? How does it play? And of course, with any mention of Mario Party 1, we have to have the obligatory, hey, Matt,
Hmm.
how many blisters do you have on your palm?
Oh, Jaren, that's actually the best part. when you load up Mario Party 1, it shows you a warning on the screen to be careful when you're rotating the thumbstick and not to use your palm when you're doing it.
Matt,
Hmm.
how many blisters did Mario Party give you growing up?
I feel like I had to have gotten a lot, but Jaren, I always remember that first one, the very first
Yep.
one in the very setting. You're like, oh God, I can't play this game anymore. And I became like scared to do it that way, Jaren, because did you also get that blister in the very, very center of your palm?
Yep.
So I'm assuming that you afterwards, like, were you compensating in a way to like get around it and you just got a blister somewhere else? Because I know I did.
Honestly, I remember renting Mario Party 1, I think twice,
Hmm.
and both times I rented it blisters on. I'm pretty sure the first time I had blisters on my left hand, and then the second time I rented it, I had blisters on my right hand.
Oh
So,
man.
Matt, you got to do what you have to do for that W. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jaren. Once you get injured in one place, you just gotta, put the control stick somewhere else so that you can burn another scar into your hand.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. Another random Mario Party story that's coming back to me, Matt. Matt,
Hmm.
remember the weekly Toys R Us flyers or just the weekly flyers in general that we would get?
Yeah.
And I forget the place. I believe it was either Toys R Us or maybe like a Best or maybe a Future Shop at the time, or even Zellers,
Hmm.
something like that. Where I remember they were selling Mario Party. They were advertising on Mario Party game, and I remember if you remember the box art for I believe it's either pretty sure Mario Party, and it has Mario with the dice block, and the dice
Oh,
block has the three on it.
yep.
I remember that a few, I forget which weekly ad, but they advertised it as Mario Party 3. And I thought,
Hmm.
hey, you don't understand gaming, whoever designed this weekly ad. So sorry, that came back to me.
Yeah, Jared, we all got actually goofed by that when we were looking at the available games for the
Yeah,
first time. We all thought it was like actually Mario Party 3 because that's a really confusing box art.
it totally is. But yeah, Matt, how's the Mario Party play on the Nintendo Online expansion pass?
Jared, some of those games are hard. I I don't remember those games being that difficult. But it the gameplay itself, I feel like held up pretty well. Brakush was just hosting it, and me and Julian were basically doing, I think, the equivalent of remote play onto his game. But like it was pretty good.
Because you guys were in different rooms, right? Because you
Yeah,
all
yeah,
live in the same household and you all want your own space. I
yeah,
get you. I get
yeah.
you.
No, no, no. We were actually all in the same room, but we didn't. We all wanted to have our own screen, so we're just all playing in handheld mode.
Right? Because we don't like cheaters here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because some people, not implying anything about Julian Raguj, but some people could be cheaters. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, you know what? Actually, I'm really disappointed that we didn't have time to test out GoldenEye because I was very
Right?
curious to see that if it would still show everybody's screen when you're playing in multiplayer. I'm assuming it does, just for the good what do you call it? Just for the good screen looking factor. But I'm really curious to see how GoldenEye works if they at all change that.
I'm actually surprised you guys didn't try GoldenEye first when
Oh,
you booted this bad
I
boy
mean,
up.
I mean, Jared, I feel like, I feel like GoldenEye is a good game, but I think Mario Party is a good meme, and I feel like that's where
Oh, right.
we were leading that day. But
Right. Okay.
Jared, Mario Party is still as Mario Party as ever. The person who was winning at the end of our game, was not the person who won after bonus stars. Um, but yeah, like Jared, Mario Party is pretty fun. I hope that we get another play of that in because Mario Party is still, I think, a good goof.
All right. So before we move on, Matt, what
Hmm.
were some of the mini games that stood out to you, revisiting these classics?
Like it was so good to see just some classic mini games like the I can't remember the names of any of these, but the one where you're jumping on top of the colored mushrooms, the crane game is a good classic one, which I was surprised that they changed between Mario Party 1 and 2. I didn't realize that back then. Because in Mario Party 1, you could choose to just take like neutral coins or take coins from someone. But in Mario Party 2, they force you to take coins from someone. which I think is it's pretty good.
Damn.
Um,
That's pretty aggressive, Matt. That's pretty aggressive.
oh, there was I don't know if you remember this one. The kind of like when you have like a 2-on-2, it's the minecart game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just that one was that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I was surprised at how savage some of these games are about elimination. Because I thought that for sure, oh, once you fall off the track in that one,
Right.
you probably just get like resurrected back onto the track, but you just die. And it's not even a case of the other team immediately wins. The other team has to make it to the end, or else it just turns into a draw.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jared, I those are good mini games. I it actually made me want to check out that kind of recentish Mario Party, I guess like compilation where I just took a bunch of game like I guess a bunch of the best games from a bunch of the older Mario parties and just put them into one collection. I can't remember the name of it though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I know for me personally, Mario Party is always something that I get an itch for every now and then, but for some reason, I know that I can't really sit through an entire game of Mario Party anymore just because, Matt, I'll probably get too
Uh-huh.
upset. I take games way too seriously, Matt. And then I'd probably just be, grumpy Jaren by the end of it.
The game actually wasn't as long as it thought. We only did a 20 round game and it was a lot shorter than I was expecting it to be.
That's fair, Matt. That's fair. I think that's back in the day when we were at Julian's parents' house. I think we only did 20 rounds because I think anything more than 20 is when you really test friendships there, Matt. And
I
I don't know if a lot can survive Mario Party.
I feel like one time we did a 50 and just
We did a
wanted to
50 for
to
like an
die.
all-nighter, and that was probably one of the worst all-nighters we did.
Oh man. Well, yeah, my review is Mario Party. Okay, 10 out of 10.
All right. Good to hear, Matt. Good to hear.
Hmm.
So, Matt,
Hmm.
speaking about the Nintendo Online expansion pass, now that, your household has access to it,
Uh-huh.
that means you have access to the latest Mario Kart 8 DX DLC. Matt,
Hmm.
Wave 4, I believe, has come out recently, something like that.
Hmm.
And they finally did it, Matt. The added Birdo, new characters, and part of the character select screen has been altered. So now that there's an additional column with six new characters in all, Birdo being the first, and five new question marks. And Matt,
Hmm.
you know us, we love Mario Kart 8 theory crafting, and with Birdo and five new characters, that means six more opportunities to build a racer and try to compete. But Matt,
Uh-huh.
as a staple here on the Mistake Zone Saturday Morning Arcade, we love us some guessing DLC. And that,
Hmm.
now that we know there's five more characters coming to Mario Kart DX, I want to ask you something and play a little game of who do you think takes up those five additional slots. Now, mind you, in Nintendo's press release for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Wave 4, they stated the following: returning characters from Mario Kart series will be added in future waves. And Eric the Gamer Man on the Nintendo Switch subreddit kind of put together all the characters from previous Mario Kart games that haven't been included in Mario Kart 8,
Hmm.
and also took a handful of characters from, Mario Kart Tour, the mobile game, which some levels and courses did make it into these booster waves. So, Matt,
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you, of these names, who do you think are the five that will make it into Mario Kart 8 DX?
Hmm.
So, we'll start with the unique characters that are currently not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe from previous games, which are DK Jr. from the Super Nintendo version,
Hmm.
Diddy Kong from Double Dash and Wii, PD Piranha, Piranha from Double Dash, Koopa Paratroopa from Double Dash, who's currently not in tour, Rob from the DS version, who's currently not in tour, Funky Kong from the Wii, Honey Queen from 7, who's not in tour, and Wiggler, who was in 7 and also not on tour. But Matt,
Hmm.
there were additional veterans that Eric the Gamer Man included from Mario Kart Tour, which include Pauline, Dixie Kong, Kamek, King Bob-omb, Nabbit, Captain Toad, Chargin' Chuck, Monty Mole, Peachette, Fire Bro, Ice Bro, Hammer Bro, Boomerang Bro, and Dr. Mario. So, Matt,
Uh-huh.
now that we have a handful of characters from previous Mario Kart games and tour, who do you think are the 5 that are locks to be included in Mario Kart 8?
Ooh, okay, Jaren. I think anybody after King Bomb in that list is probably not gonna make it in.
Okay.
I want Kamek I want Kamek to be in there, and I feel like he could still be a pretty strong one to go in.
I feel like there were some discussions that Kamek was originally considered for some previous Mario Kart games. So I think I could see Kamek there. Just because, Matt, so again, this is me kind of reaching, but I'm looking at the current Mario Kart 8 character select screen, and we see that bottom row, that's all guest characters. We see the Squid Kids, we see Link, we see the Animal Crossing characters, we see the Mii. And then above that, we see the Koopa Kids. Above that, we see, even though Donkey Kong's there, let's call them the villains row. I guess Donkey Kong was a villain back in the day.
Yeah.
Then we have the babies and the metal characters. Then we have, I guess these are NPCs. I guess the second row is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess they're considered like standard Mario characters in that one.
And then the top row is Mario Family and Friends, plus like their Tanuki counterparts. And I feel like Birdo's going to be moved down to the second row.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, I'm also kind of considering placements with these character groupings in mind. Of course, they can do mix and matches, but kind of based on the placements here, who do you think has a good shot to be in Mario Kart 8?
Okay, if we're going to go with that, I think that for the, I guess, outsiders row, I think that that gets filled by Rob.
Yeah, agreed. It has to be Rob.
The Koopa Kids row, I feel like, who could actually go there? Probably Kamek, if anyone on that list.
I can see Kamek there, yeah. You wouldn't put Kamek in the villains row?
I was thinking actually for the villains row, like that might be Wiggler or PD Piranha, actually.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can see PD being. I think PD is also one of my locks for this DLC. But yeah, Kamek. So we have Rob, Kamek, PD. I think you can make an argument for Funky Kong and the villain. Not that he's a villain, but I could maybe see Funky Kong be included. But I think PD is the stronger choice of the two.
I was actually thinking Funky Kong or Dixie for like that alternates row where like Baby Mario and like Metal Mario are.
I was leaning towards. Okay, yeah. I think based on everyone here, it's either Dixie or Diddy that I'm looking up there. Do you think they'd put Dixie and Diddy, or do you think Diddy goes in over Dixie?
I don't think you put both, but I think I would personally prefer Dixie over Diddy, even though Diddy is probably the more popular choice.
Right.
For that villain or like the NPCs row, actually, I guess if Birdo does get moved down.
Yeah, Birdo gets moved.
Jared, who's Honey Queen?
I remember her. I just saw a screenshot from her, but I don't remember what game she was actually in.
Because like, if she wasn't a popular character, I feel like after Birdo gets moved down, the person that fills that row is Pauline.
Yep, it has to be. For some reason, it has to be Pauline. I feel like with her inclusion in the Mario sports games, New Donk City, her just being a popular character in general, I think Pauline is a lock for the 100%. I'm putting my money that Pauline makes it into Mario Kart 8.
Jared, is Pauline really that popular of a character?
I wouldn't. So I'm not saying she's like in Rosalina level, but I feel like her recent appearances, they're trying to push her a lot more.
I see.
And I think she's pretty much in that Daisy tier.
Yeah. Okay.
But considering just how, in my opinion, and I view how the community has reacted to kind of New Donk City in general, I feel like with her recent inclusion in the golf game, the tennis game, and she's been DLC in a lot of the sports titles too, so I wouldn't be surprised if Pauline is included here. So I think if I were to choose 5 characters, I would go with Pauline, Petey Piranha, and Rob, and Diddy Kong, and Kamek is probably the 5 I'm going to put in.
Yeah, I think that's a very safe bet on like those
Yeah.
5.
Mostly because I'm looking at the, quote unquote vets. Donkey Kong Jr., I feel like is never going to be
Yeah.
included in this game just because you already have Donkey Kong there, and Funky Kong and Diddy are, and even Dixie are, I feel, a lot stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Diddy Kong, just based on popularity and how much he is, within these Nintendo games, I feel like you have to put in Diddy over Funky and Dixie.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd probably make a stink face if 2 additional Kong characters were included in the game.
Yeah.
But it has to be Diddy. But I would also prefer Dixie over, or even Funky if needed. Petey, I think, has a good shot. Koopa, Paratroopa, no, I don't think you include.
If the regular Koopa wasn't there, I could see Koopa Paratroopa being in. But
right,
yeah.
But you have regular, you have Dry Bones already, so I think you're fine on that regard. Rob has to be a bottom row character.
Mm-hmm.
Funky Kong, I would hope. Honey Queen and Wiggler, I don't know, Matt, enough about these characters where I could see them as, the curveball pick. But I feel like based on these, there are kind of stronger ones.
Yeah, I would want Wiggler just to have the Wiggler riding the Wiggler cart goof.
That'd be pretty funny.
But
yeah, looking at the tour people, Pauline, I think is a lock. Dixie Kong would like Kamek. If the stuff about him being considered for a previous, console Mario Kart was true, then I can see him. King Bob Bomb, I would not mind either. But yeah, I agree. I think at this point, including Captain Toad, Dr. Mario would... I know there's precedent with Metal Mario and Tanuki Suit Mario, but I feel like alternates at this point, when you're saying, hey, here are some new characters, is a harder sell for me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But Matt, it does kind of bum me out looking at the Koopa Kid row and realizing that, oh, that's going to be broken in some way. Or, no, I guess they wouldn't. I would say maybe move Bowser Jr. down there.
Yeah, I could see
but
that.
But I don't think they're gonna touch like the main character icons. But I'm hoping Birdo gets moved down and replaced with Pauline. But I guess we'll see, Matt. But yeah, Matt, you were also telling me that I haven't really been following the Mario Kart meta closely, just because, me, Matt, I'd rather discuss what characters are going to be playable than actual game mechanics. But Matt, is the nightmare of the Waluigi Wiggler meta finally over, or am I sitting here thinking, okay, all these new characters are cool, who's the heavyweight character, because that's the only one that's going to see play?
Yeah, the Waluigi meta, Waluigi Wiggler meta is dead, Jaren.
Really?
Yeah. When I initially sent you that message, it was still being tested out on what is the new meta pick, but I can't remember the exact combo, but I know that the character now is Rosalina. It's no longer Waluigi, Jaren.
Because, and of course, I'm not, insinuating anything about Rosalina's weight, but she's considered not a super heavyweight, but she's on the higher weight class, correct?
Yeah, apparently everybody below, I think it was Donkey Kong's weight class, got like boosts in speed in terms of like their rebalance. So a lot more, at least for a while, a lot of characters are a lot more viable. While I guess they're trying to figure out and settle if that Rosalina car isn't the true meta. There's still like some wiggle room on there, from what I heard.
Matt, they really just need some sort of thing that allows us more choices, just because I think for a while now, I think that's why I stopped playing Mario Kart 8 was how everyone's doing the Waluigi Wiggler combo. This is, I want to see variety, Matt. I want to see people with different cards. Just don't even show me their character choices. Just like mask everyone as random characters at that point.
They just need transmogs, Karen. They just need transmogs.
But yeah, Matt, Mario Kart 8, I'm really excited just to see which characters they finally do announced. And I really do hope we do see some of the tour characters just because they're, still new faces to the console generation. But
Hmm.
if they were going to pick solely from previous console games, then I think my lock would be Diddy Kong, PD Piranha, Rob, maybe Funky Kong, and I think Honey Queen, but Wiggler might be there too. But I'm really hoping the pull for Pauline and maybe Kamek as well.
Hmm.
But Matt, now that you have the expansion pass in the household, do you think you're gonna check out the new Wave 4 DLC?
I was actually going to earlier, but I saw that I didn't have the. There was one of the original cups that I didn't have trophied and 3-starred.
Yeah.
So I went to go do that one. It was going well, Jaren, up until that last race when I came in second, and I rage quit the game.
Sounds about right, Matt. Sounds like classic Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jaren, while we're still on this Nintendo bandwagon, I want to talk about something that we skipped last week, which is Pokemon Day.
Right.
It happened, I guess, the 2 weeks ago on February 27th, and they announced some stuff that I was kind of like curious to get your thoughts on.
Matt, the only thing I remember on that day was I know that was the day we flew back from Mexico, and I looked at my friends and said, "Oh, Pokemon Sleep's still a thing, huh?" That's all I remember from Pokemon Day, Matt.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Jaren, because I had totally forgotten that Pokemon Sleep was a thing.
Right.
And seeing this just made me think about it again. And I was on board for it while I was watching it. And then after the the Pokemon Day presentation ended, I realized that I don't want to give Pokemon my sleep information. And I feel like this is a weird thing for them to like get into.
So, Matt, what exactly is Pokemon Sleep, and why do I have a pit in my stomach when you said I don't want to give Pokemon my sleep data?
Jaren, Pokemon Sleep is in essence just a sleep monitoring app. The way it works is that you, just like any other sleep monitoring app, you basically turn it on your phone, you put it underneath your pillow or on your bed or something, and it uses kind of sound data and gyroscopic data to determine like how much you're moving in your sleep, or like if you're snoring, or if you're sleep talking, just like general stuff like that, to determine how good your quality of sleep is. And with that data, it groups your sleep into like certain categories. I think it was like, oh, restless, peaceful, and just like kind of broad categories like that. And depending on what kind of sleep you had and how long you had it, you will be spawning Pokemon within the game. Because the general idea in the game is that, hey, you're taking a nap with Snorlax, and Pokemon are coming into your like napping area to nap with you, and that's how you get new Pokemon.
Matt?
And
I literally hate this. So you're telling me that instead of me actually going to take, actual sleep tests to figure out if I need a CPAP machine, it's I can pay the Pokemon company to monitor me in my sleep and not tell me if I need a CPAP, but one, tell me, hey, you slept with this Pokemon essentially, and then harvest that sleep data for their nefarious marketing activities.
Basically, yeah. I was thinking about it not only from that point of view of, hey, I don't want the Pokemon company to know know how I'm sleeping, but I also, the next day, do not want to wake up and look at how bad my sleep was, or have some like Pokemon app telling me, hey, you're not sleeping enough. You should like go to sleep earlier or something. Like stop going to sleep at 3 a.m. And
Matt, there are tests for that. There are professional tests for that, which I may or may not be dragging my feet to actually do, but that's neither here. This is the mistake zone, Matt. And it's, to me, Pokemon Sleep sounds like a mistake.
Yeah, it sounds pretty wild to me, Jared. Jared, I think if I was just like, taking a step away from Pokemon Sleep, they also brought in a new Pokemon Go device. And Jared, I think this name is wild. This is called the Pokemon Go Plus. And Jaren, do you have the Pokemon Go Plus or know what the Pokemon Go Plus is?
I know what the Pokemon Go Plus was,
Uh huh.
but please tell me what a plus plus is.
Jaren.
Matt,
Uh huh.
question. How's the plus plus stylized? Is it like the word plus like the plus symbol, or is it just two plus plus words? Is it two plus plus
It
singles
is
or
the
symbols?
it is the word plus followed by the plus sign.
Okay, that's fine. I
I
guess.
think that's
I
I think
guess.
that's the best way to do it. But the Pokemon Go Plus Plus device is a flat Pokeball shaped device which integrates with both Pokemon Go and Pokemon Sleep. If you really wanted to, you could use the Pokemon Go Plus Plus on your bed instead of using your phone on your bed. And with regards to Pokemon Go, the Pokemon Go Plus Plus will now allow you to throw Great Balls and Ultra Balls instead of just basic Pokeballs, which Jared
Yep.
seems crazy
Sure.
to me. It seems like
Yep.
such an
Okay.
upgrade.
Yep.
Also, Jared, you can trap a Pikachu inside this Pokeball, and it can talk to you.
Matt, I didn't have a Pokemon Go Plus device, but I
Mhm.
had I've used knockoff versions of it. Like they're auto catchers, essentially, correct?
Yeah.
Man, those auto catchers were wild, Matt. And I know for the longest time when I was really deep into it, it was
Hmm.
honestly, I'm gonna drop all these Ultra Balls and Great Balls because I need the Pokemon, like the Pokeballs, so I can keep auto catching.
Hmm.
And that was how I saw Pokemon Go back when I was still on the road to 40, and that I haven't logged in since.
Uh-huh.
But again, calling it plus plus and the fact that now you can auto catch using Great Balls and Ultra Balls, I can see why they would produce this, but at the same time, that's a dumb name, man. It's a really
Uh-huh.
bad name.
Jaren, it's a dumb name, but I'm fully behind that name. It's so bad it's good to me.
Point taken. Fair enough, Matt. Fair
Hmm.
enough. But Matt,
Hmm.
so far these announcements haven't been great. Please tell me that there were some real standouts from Poco Day.
Jared, they're bringing back the Pokemon trading card game classic set. They never released any additional news about it. They just said they're bringing back the originals, and I'm kind of curious to see what that's gonna be. I'm curious mostly to see if it's just anything different from them just re-releasing the original box sets.
Oh man, so you're saying that original sealed boxes from the trading card game back in the day are going to be even more expensive now?
Probably. See, the thing that throws me off about it, Jaron, is that they specifically called it a premium Pokemon trading card game set. And I'm really curious as to what that actually means.
Yeah, that could. I'm curious to see if that's just marketing or if it is some sort of like special edition collector's box, one out of, I don't know, only 10,000 of these were made, something along those lines. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they release, mostly out of morbid curiosity, just because I don't actually dabble in the Pokemon trading card game.
Mm-hmm. But one of the other things that they released, which I'm actually kind of curious about how it's going to be, is that Game Freak, or I guess the Pokemon Company, is collaborating with Netflix for a new Pokemon show called Pokemon Concierge. It is a stop motion Pokemon show, which is already kind of like interesting to me. And the basic premise of the show is that it is following a concierge who works at a Pokemon resort where Pokemon go to vacation. And it's just them interacting with the Pokemon that are vacationing there, which I think is like a pretty like interesting, or at least like workable storyline. And it makes me want to see what they're going to do.
That sounds like a slice of life anime that I would watch, Matt. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope someone lifts this idea and applies it to.
Cyberpunk?
Oh my gosh, Matt.
Uh-huh.
No, but I just remembered a few of the mangas that I read that have a similar storyline, just everyday life of a hotel employee or like a resort employee.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
I'm laughing to myself because I don't want to discuss that any further on air
True,
without
true.
dying or crawling into a hole and dying right after.
I mean, the other thing that they talked about, which I guess is like the capstone of what Pokemon Day was, is the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is basically just like the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC, is a two-part DLC. Like one will bring you to one area and the other will bring you to another. Apparently, it's upping the Pokemon count from 400 something to 700 something, which is like, I think, a pretty like generous.
Oh, that's a substantial event, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what new stuff is going to be in the DLC and like what old Pokemon are coming back. But Jaren, there's something I want to talk about specifically on the Scarlet and Violet stuff, which is that
Okay.
as a part of this announcement, they introduced the new Paradox Pokemon for Scarlet and Violet, which is basically the ancient version of Suicune and the future version of Virizion. And
Yeah.
Jaren, this combined with another new thing that they added, which is you can send Pokemon Go postcards to get different versions of Vivillon, which is basically a butterfly Pokemon that can change its wings colors depending on where the Pokemon Go postcard came from.
Of course.
Jaren?
Yeah. Okay, I'm not surprised, but okay.
These two changes introduced two wild bugs to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that one of them I just can't wrap my head around on how Game Freak could have allowed this to happen. But the arguably like worst one is actually the one that like is more of a understandable bug, which is somehow when you bring a Pokemon Go postcard into the game to get a Vivillon, they're not sure what the like real conditions are, because I think up until now they still haven't fixed this, but it basically just erases your Pokemon Scarlet Violet save if you do it wrong.
Oh,
which is
Matt,
insane to me.
I'm a dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you said two new bug Pokemon, when you say they were wild, what is this, a ghost bug or like a psychic bug, like having the sub? But you mean, okay, I get you.
No, these are computer bugs.
I'm
Jared.
a dummy.
Matt, like,
okay.
I think it is wild that they brought in a bug that erases your Pokemon save data. This is really only happening in edge cases, but apparently it's like linking your Pokemon Go account to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. As far as I know, they still haven't set out a fix patch. But the other thing that is wild to me, Jaren, and I don't understand how this was at all allowed, is with the new Paradox Pokemon, you have to get them through the online, or basically the raid system. It's not necessarily online, but you can do them online to do it with friends.
Right.
Or just like randos. Jaren, apparently you can get into this raid without having the latest patched version of Pokemon.
Oh, God.
Which is an insane oversight to me. Like, I don't understand how you can let somebody onto your, I guess, like matchmaking service and not check their patch version to see if they have the latest patch that allows them to even, like, interact with these Pokemon. Because somehow you're able to interact with them, which I guess, like, maybe makes sense because you have the data for these Pokemon within the game already, like, in like a prior patch. But the issue is that if you don't have the newest patch and you battle one of these Pokemon, it puts basically a unhatchable egg into your Pokemon inventory and it's just stuck there. Like, because you cannot release eggs, and apparently they're just like, you can't really interact with it at all. And it seems wild to me that there is no, I guess, security check to make sure that you are on the latest patch version, or like something that says, hey, you need to update your patch if you want to connect online to the Pokemon service right now.
That's crazy, Matt. So is there any way to alleviate or address this issue if you run into it? Like, if you patch it, can you interact with the egg, or is it just stuck there forever?
Apparently it's just stuck there. I don't know if they put out a fix like recently, but as far as I know, the egg is just stuck there. You can't really like do anything with it. It doesn't hatch because there's no Pokemon data for it, which is just wild to me that this could happen at all.
Man, I was going to ask, so how are things on the technical end? And I think you just answered my question.
Yeah.
I know Game Freak said, or the Pokemon company
well.
said that they were going to release some performance patches, but I'm guessing those still haven't actually been released yet, or maybe that's taking a lot longer than initially anticipated.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about an actual performance patch change at all.
Okay. But wow, man, that's quite the Pokemon day, if I do say so myself. But luckily, you weren't affected by
Mhm.
the bugs, and
No.
that's just unfortunate to hear about, and kind of again speaks to the reputation this game currently has. And unfortunately, since it is attached to all these negative stories, that really is a shame to me, just because, as you said, Matt, there is a pretty solid Pokemon foundation there, but I feel like until a honestly maybe a remastered version on the next Switch comes out that really addresses the performance thing, to me at least, the Pokemon Scarlet Violet legacy is something that will be shrouded in, hey, this
Hmm.
wasn't the greatest technically, and hey, remember when it erased everyone's saves, and just
Uh-huh.
like the hyperbole like that.
Yeah, I feel like it. Scarlet Violet is always going to have that kind of like. It was a good game itself, but everything else around it was rough.
Yeah, but anything else from Pokemon Day, Matt, that caught your attention, or was that the highlights that you saw?
I mean, the only other thing for Pokemon Day is that they had a either CG or an animatronic Pikachu in that presentation, and it looked terrifying.
Always good to hear about terrifying um, machine mascots like that, Matt. Just because.
Hmm.
So you're telling me there's going to be a Pokemon Five Nights either collab or copycat out there in some capacity.
Yep, heard it here first. Mistake Zone is confirming Five Nights at Freddy cross Pokemon collab.
It's okay, Matt. We don't have any reputation to withhold, so I think that's
Hmm.
fine.
Hmm.
Allegedly, of course.
Allegedly, yeah, allegedly.
So, Matt,
Hmm.
speaking about things we saw from official Nintendo sources, I believe the first time we really got a good look at the latest Dead Cells DLC, Return to Castlevania, I believe that was announced during the Game Awards, where we did see a deeper dive in a previous Nintendo Direct. But earlier last week, I guess, when all our friends are listening to this, a new piece of Dead Cells DLC came out, the Return to Castlevania DLC, which
Hmm.
cost for here, I believe it was around $13. I know 9.99 USD, which makes it the on the pricier end of the current Dead Cells DLC. I know, Matt, I was telling you that while I was playing it on Game Pass, I wanted to play it on the Steam Deck, so
Hmm.
I held out. There was a bundle that they released to coincide with the release of this DLC, which contained all the DLC for Dead Cells plus the base game. So I restarted it again on Steam. And Matt,
Hmm.
Dead Cells with one boss cell is no joke, because you know me, Matt, I'm not that good at video games.
Hmm.
And I'm still finding my way through it. I still haven't cleared the uh done a full run with one boss cell activated. Just because, yeah, you weren't kidding, Matt. You really do need to learn how to parry,
Hmm.
learn how to read the boss attack patterns when you go up in difficulty, just because it is such a more, I want to say, kind of a different feeling game. And I'm sure as you climb up with the more boss cells, that will also really play to the part where your skills are really put to the test. But I've been hovering around just the default difficulty, just so I would be able to explore not only the Castlevania DLC, but all the DLCs in general. And it is something that has been scratching that Metroidvania itch that I've had for the longest time now. And playing through the Castlevania DLC has been a really entertaining experience, mostly just because I don't really have that affinity for the Castlevania series in general. I think a
Hmm.
lot of my consumption from it does come from osmosis, where I am consuming it through other forms of media. But to be able to play it, to hear some of the classic Castlevania music played throughout, and even some remixed versions as well, really does really put me in the mood for the DLC. I think just playing through it, it really does bring me back to the few times I have played Castlevania in the past to see all these different characters and just pop up in a more, I think, fun little way, just because, Dead Cells has this kind of easygoingness to it. And just to see Alucard and all these other Castlevania characters just be a bit more lighter than I'm used to from my little experience with Castlevania is really fun as well. A ton of more costumes to unlock, and there was one weapon that you unlock, or a weapon blueprint that you unlocked in the DLC when you beat the Death boss, which is the first boss that you run into if you go down the Castlevania path, which gives you a scythe. And Matt, the scythe is pretty wild to me because essentially what it does is when you kill an enemy with the scythe, a ghostly version of that character starts following you momentarily. And the moment you start engaging with another enemy, that ghost from the previous enemy you killed will just fly towards the new enemy and explode. And I've seen videos of like the legendary version of the game, and honestly, it just like auto plays at that point. And I feel like as someone who struggles to get 60 kills without taking damage, that completely nullifies that challenge. If you still have to play a bit smart. But for the most part, you can really rack up kills easily if you are able to trigger the Death Scythe really fast. But yeah, man, I'm still enjoying my time with Dead Cells. I think the Castlevania DLC is really cool. But again, Matt, I find myself in this weird situation where essentially one of the mechanics in Dead Cells is the Legendary Forge, which you get access to after every boss encounter you do in Dead Cells, where you can pump all the cells you have at the moment into the Legendary Forge, which essentially gives you a percentage increase to getting a weapon of, a plus or an S rank variation of that weapon. And I'm in this weird situation, Matt, where I'm not sure if I should be, doing death runs to get to the first boss, clearing that, and then pumping all my dead cells into the Legendary Forge, or if I should still be putting the all of the cells into new like weapon blueprints or mutation upgrades, or costume blueprints, where honestly, like my weapon pool right now is pretty slow, and I really want to have a Death Scythe for my run, but at the same time I feel like I'm not exploring more weapons and just seeing what this game has to offer, because I'm like dead set on just like upgrading the Legendary Forge to get stronger versions of the same weapons that I only have access to. So I'm kind of in this weird limbo of things, and that's kind of my experience right now with Dead Cells, where I'm still practicing, trying to get better, trying to get the parry down, trying to be able to, do my death runs and slowly grind out the Legendary Forge, or if there's a new weapon that I've received that I kind of want to work towards as well. I also made the mistake of looking up a weapons tier list and thinking, oh, should I be... It hasn't been updated to reflect the Castlevania stuff, but again, that's how my broken brain works of, okay, what's meta? What should I be working towards at least to make this, difficulty climb a lot more bearable? And I know when you pause the game, you can turn on the assist mode, and I remember just kind of browsing through it to see what they offered, and Matt, there's an option there that just reveals the map when you enter a new level, and I thought, oh, that would really save time in this grind. But then you have options like, oh, you automatically attack a enemy when you are in range to do it, or enemies do 80% less damage now, and you do 80% more damage and stuff like that, where Matt, I have no one to impress. I have nothing to prove. Should I be throwing on these assists and exploring what Dead Cells has to offer? Because Matt, if I just stop playing, this is just game I'm not experiencing. So
Wait, Jaren.
maybe we'll get into the ethical debates a little later. But what's up, Matt?
Jaren, does the assist mode like lock anything away?
I think from what I saw, all assist mode does is you can't enter your score into like the daily leaderboard challenge or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I think from what I understand, anything in assist mode, you're still able to unlock achievements and like progress to, the blueprints you unlock and like boss cells and stuff like that. So I think maybe after a few more hours of hitting my head against like the first boss on boss cell 1, maybe if I just want to kind of see what this game really has to offer before I ultimately drop it, because Matt, you know me, around the corner I have the vacation in April. We have not only do we have Tears of the Kingdom in May, but we also have Fast 10, Matt, the new Guardians of the Galaxy, Hollow Cure 0.6. I mean, Matt, I might as well experience everything Dead Cells has to offer without actually putting in the time to get good. Because if I don't, like, something else will take my attention. New Fortnite season just started, Matt. You know what I'm saying?
Jared, that new Fortnite season looks wild.
Matt, maybe this will be something that we go into next week, but honestly, the aesthetic of the current Fortnite season is everything I want out of a stylized cyberpunk edge runners game. And what Fortnite is, because before we close off, Nat, I'm playing with some of my friends that the last time we played was back in chapter 1, and now we're in chapter 4 of Fortnite. And just to hear them talk about, oh, what the heck's happened, this is different, and then also seeing them use skins from like years ago is like really tripping me out. But man, that Fortnite is wild. And after the show, man, I'm gonna send you some of my sweet katana kills, because there's now a katana melee weapon in the game. But
man.
Dead Cells is the Return to Castlevania DLC for Dead Cells. Really enjoying it, just as Dead Cells overall. I think I really do like, you know me, Matt, I do like the roguelike genre, just because it is something that I can try to bang out a run before bed or just during some downtime, and seeing making little progress to my ultimate goal. But I think in my Legendary Forge grind, I'm getting, I'm averaging because I didn't realize that you could just break down that door so you don't have to spend your cells between runs, and then you can bank everything for until you beat the boss. So I'm getting around, I don't know, like 60, 70 cells by the time I beat boss 1. And then that's taking me anywhere from like 10 to 12 minutes. And I thought, okay, if I need 3,000 cells for this current level of the Legendary Forge, and then I only have getting 60 cells per run, this takes me 10 minutes, and then it gets to the math portion of it, and then I feel really bad about myself, Matt. So I really need to figure out what I really want out of Dead Cells, and maybe I'll just swallow my pride and throw on some assists and see what happens. But yeah, really enjoying what I have, and I guess enjoy games however you want to enjoy it, if it's a single player experience. So yeah, that's Dead Cells Return to Castlevania DLC. And Matt, I think that's the mistake zone for this week. Yeah. And, kind of a beefy episode this week. We talked about our poor money, how we have poor control when it comes to impulse purchases. We talked about IKEA's decision to retire the GOAT display case. We talked about Pokemon Day. You talked about the Nintendo Online expansion pass to play Mario Party 1 and 2. We talked about Mario Kart 8 DLC characters. And, of course, Dead Cells at the end. Matt Alba, I want to thank you, as always, for joining me this week. I want to thank all our friends for joining us as well. Matt, who do you want to thank this week?
Jaren. I feel like I don't say this enough, Jaren. I want to thank you for hosting the Mistake Zone, like every single week.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, friend. I want to thank you for editing, for actually doing the work. I'm just here to hang out, man. I'm just here to hang out. And I think we hung out with our friends. Honestly, this was enough hanging out with our friends right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Until next week, friends, thank you as always. And Matt, take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of sleepy Pokemon.
That ain't right, Matt. That ain't right.